Morning all, and welcome back to Nat Snacker's Yard with the Sinnis SC125, or the what is it? JS125, I think. So what? I've done the valve clearances. Well, I just checked them, to be honest. The exhaust was a bit out. The intake was fine. It's a dodgy start, this. It doesn't like starting. Once it gets going, it's alright. Now the problem that I've got is that the choke cable is completely shagged. So I need a new choke cable. I've got it on an auxiliary tank. My homemade bong auxiliary tank is leaking. So I think I might have to jump on to Jake Core Parts, because I know he does them, because Charlie got quite a nice one. So yeah, Jake, I need one of those, please, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's on a low idle and it ticks. Let's turn it off for now. Yeah, so what? I need a new choke cable, because I can't just leave it like this, because it's got one of these crappy chokes that doesn't click on or off. You just have to like feather it, and that's just shite. So I'm kind of split minds at the moment of either, 15 quid for a choke cable, or delete the choke up there, do it down there, and pay 30 quid for a brand new carb. And I'm more headed that way, to be honest, because I think the engine's fine. It's the fuel air mix that's causing it issues, which I think is probably the way forward. The main reason I dragged it out though is I want to have a look at that drum brake, and I also want to have a look at some of the electrics. So I had a look on I dug out the spec diagram for it, the manual for it. I'm sure it's the wrong stator, because on the diagram, the wiring diagram, it has from the stator, where are you? Yep, it's got the red and the yellow, and in which is red and yellow, red and white, which takes it back to the battery. It's got the two whites that go up to the rectifier regulator to recharge the battery, but what it certainly doesn't have is an extra two cables coming through, so I think it's got the wrong one. Now, so what? It works, so I'm not overly concerned one way or t'other. So yeah, that doesn't bother me too much. What does bother me though is the fact that the start button is the wrong way round. So what I'm going to do is do a bit of cable chasing and see where it goes. On the alarm, let me see if I can show you. On the alarm, continuing the power and electrical irregularities on this bike, that's the new alarm. I've unplugged the siren because it's so loud. Yeah, so looking at the wiring diagrams again, I think the principal one that does the electric ignition comes out here, with nothing attached to it. Now, frankly, it doesn't really bother me, because what I can do is just have it as an alarm rather than as an ignition unit. So I could just leave it like that and job would be good. But that is probably what I will end up doing. But the bit that concerns me is how I go from how this is wired the wrong way around. I chase the wiring diagrams around, and it is just a straight on-off switch. So what I'm going to do is turn the battery off, because the battery's shagged. So I've got a new battery coming for it, but what I'm going to do is take the headlight off and just do a little bit of wiring chasing as well. So today should be drum brake, see if I can get my head around the electrics of this a little bit more. Now various subscribers will look at it and say about, oh, it's Nat doing his electrics again, loves his electrics. I fucking hate electrics, but invariably I find that I have to do them, and I kind of get them. Right, let's get on. Right, not necessarily mystery solved, but probably cock-up solved. So the big thick one in my fingers here, give it a shake, you can see that that's attached to the ignition and to the throttle switch. It's got bodge connectors on it, so somebody has cocked it up and wired it the wrong way round, I think. Why? I've not got a clue. But yeah, always interesting when you find somebody else's bodge work. So I'm going to have a little bit of a dig through that and see if I can at least put it the right way, so the switch, when you turn the switch off, it turns it off rather than on. Right, and continuing the wiring palaver. Aside from the fact, one especially for you, Charlie, itty bitty spider. Yeah, say what you like about Chinese manufacture, but they don't tend to use these to connect two colours of different, two wires of different colours. So somebody's been arsing around in here. The main bit I was looking for though is green and black, which is on this switch there. Now at some point I think they've been abused or turned the wrong way. So that's the green that comes into the connector there. Oh, really hard to do this two-handed, let alone one. So that goes to top right there. Goes to top right there. Yeah, now I wonder if it's just a case of arsing around with that. Let me have a think. Right, so bloodyconfused.com, let's go in the light. So, what have I got? Bit of a clusterfuck of wiring there. So there's the, with the blue adapter on it, or the blue connection on it, I've got a straight black and a black and brown. And at the other end, let me see if I can find a better way of doing this. I'm trying to match one with another and one with another. I think I'm going to put that to a side, and that's sat in the living room with a glass of wine and my meter, and I'll work out what's connected with what. And the theory being that if I can't work it out and I can't fix it, I'll just buy a new one for about 20 quid. Right, so can't be asked to piss around with electronics anymore. I am going to, oops, get to lose all of these bits. I'm not going to lose those bits. I'm going to keep all those bits safe up there. I'm going to have a look at that back wheel. Right, so let's get this wheel off and check out the drum brake, why it's quite so noisy. And let's just try and get this split pin out. Come on. Right, one out. Get this brace bar out. Here, a small yappy type dog. Right, so that's the brace. Oh. Come on. Come on. There we go. Push that out of the way a little bit. A little bit easier on the fingers. There we go, nearly there. as ever, I'm paranoid about losing things, so screw everything back on so I don't lose it. Right, so brakes off. Clean up. Right. Just bracing the back of the bike there. That's the brake clear. So just feel it loosened off there. Probably be easier with a socket mat, you thought. Frog in my throat this morning. Right, no cotter pin on the bolt, which is a bit strange. Okay, back in the room. Some catastrophic filming issues yesterday. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I seem to have lost a fair amount of footage, so a little bit of catch up and a little bit of carry on. So the observant will notice that the wheel is off. On the sprocket, there's a lot of play there, and it's the cushions are shagged. So look back on its MOT history actually, and it got an advisory on its last MOT for exactly that. So I've ordered new ones. They don't cost a lot, about a tenner I think for this bike. So they're on the way. On the brakes, I've measured them and they are low. So again, about another £8 I think. So they're on order as well. Oops, come on chain, get out of the way. So yeah, that's all good to wait for. New battery arrived, I think £16, something like that. So out of the box, I say out of the box, I did chuck it on charge last night. I tend to with new batteries when they arrive. So that's 13.4. Let's see on the old one that's mounted. Yeah, sub 12, not surprising. So what I'm going to do, I want to check on the whole power drainy bit, is I'm going to swap out the old one, put in the new one and just leave it doing what it's doing. I did have a look at the, as in the earlier video, I did have a look at the wiring with a glass of wine and a wiring diagram, and was still none the wiser. What I do know is that it will ignite, it will start the bike. So I'm going to wait till all of this stuff arrives. I ordered a new carb as well. Again, I think £14, something like that. It's a cheap Chinese bike. The parts aren't expensive. The one bit that I couldn't find was an exact switchgear or right-hand switchgear for the bike. So I'm going to hold off for now. I'm going to get all the other bits together, plumb it all back together, see if it sorts the issues, and then either sell it on as a quirk of the bike, i.e. you can't turn the engine off at this stop switch, at the kill switch, which is weird, unlikely, or I'll find something else close enough that I can rewire in, which I don't think would be too difficult. Reverse engineering whatever has been done on it is just doing my swarding. It gives me a bit of time to think about that and how it's done as well. So yeah. So I'll leave the little Chinese monster for the rest of the week, I think. What I am going to do today is a diversion is out, because the one of the kids is desperate to go out on a ride, so I'll chuck him on the back and take him for a bit of a wander. And I think I'm going to clean up the Virago a little bit as well. I've taken the front crash guard off to give it a clean. I think it looks better without it, frankly. It takes some of that front bulk off it. I really don't know what I'm doing with this yet. I'm the only bit that makes me want to paint it or do anything with it is the ding in the dent. Ding in the dent, the ding in the tank, which I have now looked into, and it's got 2 tanks. That's like a half tank, and the main tank is under the seat, which I was unaware of before, which is cool. Bit of a quirk. I have given this a little bit of a carb balance because it is the simplest thing in the world to do with this. So you got the 2 barbs, 1, 2, and there's your screw to adjust. So it's just plug in and go. It was a tiny bit out. Adjusted it and it does run better. But it's just a great bike. But it's whether or not I keep that as my bike and do stuff with it and potentially paint it a colour I want rather than a colour that would necessarily add value or make it more sellable. And it's whether or not I keep the big old Diversion, which is big, heavy, cumbersome, but it's really comfortable. It's the ideal commute bike, I think. Well, no, it's not the ideal commute bike. It's too big and it's too heavy, but it's really comfortable and it just cruises. And more than anything else, it was my first big bike, so there's a little bit of a emotional attachment to it as well, I suppose. Don't know yet. What do you think, people? Delete, insert, or keep, tart up and sell on? Don't know yet. We'll see. Cool. Thanks very much all. Catch you later.